Breaking news, GoPro released the Mission 1 Pro ILS, a breakthrough cinema camera that puts them in the interchangeable lens market, along with companies like Red and Nikon and Canon and Sony and Fuji and Blackmagic, and their stock price has skyrocketed as a result. But I think it's all a scam. I brought receipts, I'm gonna give you proof, but first I'm gonna tell you about my sponsor, Squarespace. Start at squarespace.com/Tony when you wanna put anything on the web. Because whether it's your photography portfolio, a video reel, a personal project, a business, it deserves something better than just social media. It deserves your own domain name, your own custom email addresses, a layout, a format, a message that is uniquely yours. Create something yours at squarespace.com/Tony with a completely free trial. No credit card required. You can just see how amazing it is. Once you love it, the coupon code Tony will save you 10%. Thanks for sponsoring me, Squarespace. I've been using them for my own site for 11 years now, and it's been fantastic. First, let's cover the basics of the announcement. GoPro launched a series of 3 different cameras at different levels, and the highest tier is their Mission 1 Pro ILS with an interchangeable lens mount, which is something they've never done before, something we've never really seen in an action camera format before. The basic specs of it sound amazing. 8K at 60 frames per second or 4K at 240 frames per second. Incredible detail, incredibly fast readout for super slow motion. You can go open gate, which means instead of the usual 16:9 aspect ratio, it's taller. And that allows you to create both vertical and horizontal format video for social media or YouTube a little bit easier. Sounds really versatile. It can do that at full 8K, 30 frames per second, or 4K at 120 frames per second. The size and shape of it are essentially identical to their other new action cameras, which means they're incredibly small. The sensor's the same too. It's a 1-inch sensor, but they've put a micro 4/3 mount on there, meaning you can attach this open, commonly available micro 4/3 lenses. That's a little bit of a discrepancy because the micro 4/3 mount is designed for sensors that are substantially larger than the 1-inch sensor. But it also means if you put a 50mm lens on it, it's going to behave more like a 65mm lens. So you kind of have to factor that all in. And it comes with some big drawbacks, like there's only manual focus, which is crazy for an action camera that presumably will be always tracking moving subjects. I'll talk more about that weakness in a little bit. It does offer GoPro's famous stabilization, but then only with some primes, and they have some vague restrictions, and they haven't listed any sort of like compatibility list for the lenses, so that sort of remains to be tested. It's about $700, and there's some really good video-centric cameras for $700. You can just get a Canon T7 with a lens for $579. The sensor itself has over 3 times the surface area of the GoPro's camera. Now, does it match the 8K specs? No, but I'll talk about why you probably won't actually get 8K out of this in just a second. But even for video-centric creators, something like the Canon R50V or the Sony ZV-E10, they're interchangeable lens cameras. They have a proper grip, something you have to buy extra accessories for on the GoPro. They have articulating screen. They have autofocus, good autofocus, and the lenses for those systems are designed for a sensor of that size. These are massive benefits, and they're the same price. Now, the GoPro, when it comes down to it, is marketed as rugged and weatherproof, but whether that bears out is going to depend entirely on the lens that you attach to it. And yes, the GoPro body is smaller than these cameras, assuming you don't actually attach the grip and you can get by with a teeny tiny screen. But once you attach a lens, that difference isn't going to be all that significant. This mount isn't some kind of breakthrough. I think it's an absolute punt. And that means they were failing and they did something super hacky if you're not an American football fan. First, this is not a breakthrough. All they did was they took off the front of the housing and attached a micro 4/3 mount on there so you could slap some other lens on it. They didn't even design autofocus for it. Did they go through the trouble to create customized chromatic aberration removal profiles for the lens? There's absolutely no sign of that. As you can see from the product pictures, the mount is bigger than the camera itself, which makes the camera incredibly awkward looking. Why would you want the mount to be protruding outside of the casing of the camera like that? It doesn't make any sense. Instead, perhaps you could pick up one of the other cameras that I mentioned where the camera body is sized to the mount so that you can take advantage of a proper grip and a screen. I call this a punt because GoPro could have engineered a few new lenses at different focal lengths to address this problem. They could have designed lenses that maintained the waterproofing while offering more zoom capabilities, longer reach, wider apertures, but specifically designed around the 1-inch mount while maintaining the optimal form factor. Instead of engineering a lens, they just punted and said, well, we'll just let you attach any micro 4/3 lens. Let's talk about the problem with them not including autofocus. Now, I know a lot of people in cinema use manual focus. You've probably seen these focus pullers. Like in filmmaking, you have the camera operator, and then you have a separate focus puller quite often. And the focus puller's job is just to get the camera in focus. It's such an important job that it requires a dedicated person on there with dedicated hardware, big dials, a proper viewfinder. The GoPro doesn't support any of this. If you were to try to retrofit that in, you'd have to develop some big, huge rig, which would thus bypass all of the benefits of the GoPro and cost more than the GoPro. So what they've left you with is a tiny, tiny screen to try to manually focus a lens. And again, it's an action camera. Once you've manually focused it, if the camera or the subject move, it's going to be out of focus. And how's that going to work? What are you using 240 frames per second for on a subject that does not move in relation to the camera? And they're bragging about 8K video capabilities. 8K is great. It provides super high resolution. But if you miss focus by even the tiniest amount, that 8K is completely worthless. Now, what about GoPro's other cameras? They're the 8K, the 4K, that can be okay because every camera GoPro has produced up to this point has been what they call focus free, which makes it sound like it's some kind of liberation. But what it really means is the focus is fixed at a certain point, like maybe 6 feet away. And everything in front of that focal plane or behind that focal plane is a little bit out of focus. It's a little bit less sharp, but you don't necessarily notice that because GoPro only ever ships super wide angle lenses. And thus the depth of field is pretty deep when something is super wide angle, like literally fisheye like that. It seems like most of the scene is in focus. But once you start to get more telephoto, say going from 13 millimeter equivalent, like the 0.5x lens on your smartphone, over to 1x, 24 millimeters, or 2x, like 50 millimeter equivalent. Now, depth of field gets exponentially shallower. Things in the background will be cast out of focus if it's not accurately focused. So now they're giving us the ability to use telephoto lenses, which sounds great, except they haven't addressed the focusing problem, which is an elephant in the room. We cannot be expected to manually focus these little cameras, especially on what will inevitably be moving subjects in every case scenario that I can think of, especially with the tiny screens that they give us. This is an impossible and impractical task. Now let's talk about their 50 megapixel flex. That sounds great, right? Except they're using what's called a quad Bayer sensor. The Bayer filter is the red, green, blue filter that goes over every sensor in order to produce color images. Quad Bayer kind of takes a hack. They take a 12 megapixel sensor and then break every one of those pixels into 4 separate subpixels without actually changing the Bayer array on top of it. Technically, there are 50 megapixels in there, but it does not extract anywhere near the amount of detail that would be in a real 50 megapixel sensor. And this bears out with my own testing over and over again. Now, granted, quad Bayer sensors, like those in the iPhone, do tend to extract more detail than a 12 megapixel sensor upon which it's based, but they don't at all compare favorably to a proper 50 megapixel sensor. So just hearing that 50 megapixel number does not mean you will actually be getting more detail. It is just an oversimplified marketing specification. To compound that resolution problem, the sensor itself is substantially smaller than the micro 4/3 sensor for which all the lenses you might be using were designed for. That means the sensor itself has a much higher pixel density. And in fact, all micro four thirds lenses were designed for mostly 16 or 20 megapixel sensors. So you're taking these 16 or 20 megapixel lenses and putting the demands of a 91 megapixel sensor on that lens. And what you're going to get is not a clear image, because megapixels do not equate to detail. There's a whole bunch of different things that add up to making a sharp image, a sharp lens, a proper bare filter, a stable camera, none of which this particular camera is equipped to provide. But here's where I go down a rabbit hole, a little bit of conspiracy here, because I've previously covered the history of GoPro, and what I thought was going to be an upbeat story went really dark as I started to dig into the CEO Nick Woodman's history, his habit of misrepresenting his childhood. By the way, he just grew up a super rich kid, even though he markets himself as sort of a rags to riches story, living out of a VW van and selling these cameras. No, he just had like rich parents and step parents who funded everything all along the way. And there was a moment when GoPro IPO'd that was highly suspicious, that to me looked a lot like stock market manipulation, as well as the manipulation of charitable structures in the United States. See, when they IPO'd, the stock price skyrocketed, and Nick Woodman conveniently donated a whole bunch of stock at that peak to a charity that he controls that, to the best of my knowledge, has never actually distributed the funds in any way that we can see or account for. He labeled himself a philanthropist, but took a massive, massive tax benefit as a result of this sort of donation that nobody actually benefited from except for Nick Woodman. And then the stock plummeted back down. Nick Woodman secured a $243 million tax write-off, and then the market panicked and wiped out $1.3 billion of market value. But he still got to keep the tax break. What did he do with it? He bought himself a $50 million yacht. Just a couple of weeks ago, GoPro announced they were laying off 23% of their staff. And now, how do you distract from that incredibly bad news that would definitely hold back any big innovative engineering breakthroughs? Well, you distract them with some vaporware. They talked about pivoting to the defense market, and now an interchangeable lens camera that puts them in a much bigger marketplace of interchangeable lens cinema cameras. And it was successful. The stock price has gone from like 88 cents to $1.28. That is a huge leap for what amounts to nothing. Like, you literally cannot even pre-order this interchangeable lens camera yet. Now, if you're like me and you're looking at this camera and saying, none of this adds up, who would want this? Then you might be wondering why everyone else in the photography media is not complaining about this. Why is nobody else calling them out? Well, I think there's a bunch of reasons. Well, one is, if you say bad things about a company, they're not likely to talk to you, and they definitely won't invite you to the events or loan you their gear, and that is bad for you. That's bad for views. So everybody just kind of takes this quiet little blacklist threat seriously and doesn't tend to say anything. But also, other people are just lazy. It's super easy to just get a press release from a company and regurgitate it. And if you say positive things, then the fanboys are going to be excited. Generally, the news cycle is more positive. It's much scarier and less productive and much more time-consuming to take the time to analyze the practical effects of this. It also requires a massive amount of experience. Like, I know those micro four thirds lenses can't handle a 50 megapixel sensor, much less the 91 megapixel equivalent sensor, because I've been at this for 16 years. And I have tested dozens and dozens of micro four thirds lenses in a wide variety of scenarios. And I know the lenses that you're likely to use on this, especially the small form factor ones, are not going to produce good results in this scenario. I also have a ton of experience trying to manually focus things in video, and I understand without a proper focus puller or without proper tools, it's counterproductive. And in those scenarios, what you really want is autofocus, which this camera doesn't provide. So yeah, if you didn't have my particular experience and my tolerance for being cut off by camera manufacturers, maybe you would just post the press release and say something positive. I hope you will watch this and decide that you want to support scrutiny, support an outlet that will call somebody out on something that seems like total BS. Because I think it's important for consumers, but I also think it's important for investors who might be assessing the success of the company, that they get an objective and critical viewpoint. So if you do want to support me, you can subscribe, share this video, write a comment. That all helps. You can also check out my books and video training at northrup.photo, where I teach you actual photography, things that make way more of a difference than just buying new gear. And of course, my in-person workshops that I host here in New York City for things like wildlife and portrait photography at very affordable prices. And you can support my sponsor, Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com/Tony when you want to start any new web presence, whether that's your photography portfolio, video reel, a business, or a personal project. You can get your own custom domain name. Use their tools to automatically generate a beautiful template that matches your needs. I had it write a bio for myself because I hate to talk about myself, and it did a really good job. Absolutely remarkable. You'd be amazed how quickly a professional website can come together. And then the geniuses at Squarespace handle all the maintenance. I've had my website for 11 years, and I've never had to manually update anything. And to the best of my knowledge, it's never been down. I've certainly never had any complaints about it. Try it out completely free at squarespace.com/Tony. You don't need to give them a credit card number. You can just try it out. And then after you love it, the coupon code Tony will save you 10%. Thanks for sponsoring me once again, Squarespace. In the comments down below, I'd love to hear what you think about this GoPro camera. Am I missing the mark? Are you a filmmaker who's been just waiting for a 1-inch sensor camera that you can slap an oversized lens on? Sincerely, I would love to hear an opposing, objective point of view that isn't just based on the GoPro press release. Bye.